Well, hello, greetings everybody. So I'm going to go ahead and get started, and for the sake of the video and for people following along, I am going to go in order. And so the first step is to build the engine nacelles, and then adding parts to the wings, adding the nacelles to the wings, and then doing the landing gear. So in looking ahead, what I want to do is I want to put some black primer on certain parts, because I like to do it kind of all at once. So all the metallic areas I want to prime in black. So the inside of the engine nacelles calls for AS12, which is Tamiya Airspray bare metal silver, which I don't have rattle cans, so I could either use maybe I've got chrome silver, which I don't know if that might be too shiny for a warplane. I also got flat aluminum, and I also got Vallejo's aluminum. So I'll find one of those. But and then the exhausts are XF56, which is I got it right here somewhere. Metallic gray. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started on that, get some primer down. And what I've done is I've just cut off the nacelles, and I like to just paint it on the sprue. It makes it easier to hold, and so I can spray these areas here. I also have the engine exhaust right here, make it easy to hold. And then in looking ahead, I want to go ahead and start, I want to paint the landing gear as well, because it calls for XF16, which is that flat aluminum. And so I want to just get some primer down on the landing gear parts. It doesn't look like I should assemble the landing gear first. It looks like it all kind of goes together with the wheels and tires, and so I'll probably just paint the components. So I have those cut out as well, and it makes it nice just to paint them right on the sprue. And it does look like there's a piece right here, A2, that does attach to this side of the strut, C8. So I can go ahead and put that on. It doesn't look like it's going to interfere with anything as far as final assembly of the landing gear. I'll build the tires, paint those. The hubs are also aluminum. Yeah, so start working on this stuff, and All right, everybody, I'm going to pause for just a minute here and kind of show you where I'm at. So I've assembled the engine nacelles, painted them, the interior part, put the exhaust on, and I also jumped over and did the landing gear as you saw. And what I need to do now is paint the areas of the plane that's going to be the interior green. And there's a part right here on the wings And Tamiya gives you this mix. So not the part where I want to paint the areas that are going to be the interior green color. Tamiya gives you a mix of all these different paints for the interior green. I don't buy a bunch of paints and mix them. I try to get the paint that I need. So this is Model Master Acryl RAF Interior Green. This is a really nice color. This is the last bottle that I can find, and well, it's about empty. But so given that, I did jump over to the cockpit parts, and I got everything primed, and same thing with the fuselage halves. I did go ahead and do this off camera where I just attached the front part of the fuselage, the nose, to the second back half of the fuselage, and you can see right here, that's the way it looks. You can see some of the detail there. And I went ahead and primed all these parts. And same thing with this part. There's the place where the stick goes and the seat. Bottom part of the Bombay area, and okay, I did get the seat primed somewhere. There we go. And got the seat primed, and so what I need to do is paint all that the interior green color. And then I'll just, because I want to do it all at once. I don't like to, if I'm going to paint with one color, I like to try to get it all done. Then I'll come back, finish the wings. You can see that. Finish up the wings. Then we'll mount the, we'll glue the wing halves together, then mount the engine nacelles to the wings. And then we'll do the cockpit. Little tip for anybody, new modelers, especially if you're spray painting. I always wait to put the landing gear on at the very end of the build, after everything's painted, because if you got those in there, the landing gear is a different color, and so if you got them already attached to the wheel wells, you're gonna have to try to mask all that, so it doesn't pay to do that. So I just leave them off until the very end, and that way it makes masking and painting much easier. And then we'll finish up the cockpit and move on. So we'll paint the interior green parts, and I'll see you in a few minutes. So now I'm going to start working on the cockpit, and again, I'm just going in the order of the instructions. So if you're going to build the kit, you can kind of follow what I'm doing. These are the radio boxes that go behind the pilot seat. I did paint some dials and buttons on them just to give it some life. Okay, everybody, let me pause for a minute here. On the instrument panel decal, it was a little thick, and it didn't, initially when I put it on, it looked a little thick and didn't want to go down very well. So I used Solvaset, which is a little bit hotter decal solution than Microsol, and it basically, and this could have been my fault, but it basically just just obliterated the decals. I've never seen that happen before, so I wonder, it could have been me. I thought it was nice and dry, and I put it on. I went ahead and installed the instrument panel, but the decals were just gone. I mean, they were literally just melted off, and I don't know why. So what I did is I just went back over it with some black paint, and I'm just going to give it a dry brush with some Tamiya flat aluminum. And but anyway, the instrument panel has raised details, so if you do want to use the decal, you probably want to scrape all it off and sand it down. But I'll just give it a dry brush. It's going to look okay, and let's just see how it looks here. So I've got some paint on the brush. I'm going to take as much out as I can here. And let's just so it looks okay. I don't know if I'll go on detail or not. Just maybe just leave it like that, because being so small, not going to really see it that much. There's that. Okay, and I am going to do the same thing for the radio boxes. I probably should have waited to install these on, but if you got a small enough brush, you can just get in there, and it shouldn't be a problem. But let me get some more paint here, and just bring out the some of the knobs and stuff in the middle. You can go around the edges too to get a worn look. Let's see here what we got. A little bit more paint maybe. There we go. Looks a little bit better. around the edges a bit. I'll do the same thing on the seat. I went ahead and used the paint recommendations for these seats right here, and that's, I guess, the spotter or navigator or something sits there. It called for Tamiya black gray, so I had that. I think it's XF57. I don't want to dig it out right now, but it's black gray, and so I use that. Or excuse me, black green, that's what it is. Okay, and so going back to the decals, what I did was I cut off a decal that I'm not going to use the markings for this insignia, and I used that on my test dummy here, test mule. It's my old A6 intruder that drove me nuts, and so I just use it as a test bed. And I put the decals on, and I used microsol, and it seems to work just fine. In fact, I just put another coat on it just to see, because the decals in this kit are a little bit thick, and but they look okay. They go down okay, and I think with a microsol it's gonna work. I would just suggest not using a hot solution. And again, it could have been my fault. I could have let it dry a little bit longer, but microsol seems to be doing okay with this. In fact, it's got another coat on there right now. The first time I put it on, the decals wrinkled up nicely and then went down. So you still see some carrier film, so when I do other decals I'll cut close if I can, but otherwise it's going to look pretty good with flat coat and everything on that. So okay, so back to the cockpit. I'm going to just continue doing a little bit of dry brushing here and there. I am going to use the seat belt decals because at this small scale I really don't feel like making decals for it, or I mean making seat belts. So I think I'll just go ahead and use the kit decals. And again, once you get a flat coat on them, they'll look halfway decent, I guess. But at least when you look in the window, you'll see something on the seats. So that's what I'm going to do. But I'm just going to kind of go in here, maybe dry brush some of this detail. Not much to see in the interior. There. That gives that a nice metallic look there. Yeah, that's probably all I'm going to do. So get the seat belts on, get the everything mounted inside the cock, or this part here, get it all together and put it in, and we should be on our way. So let me get a little dry brush here. There we go. Through 11, the assembly of the cockpit subassemblies. So in the next video, when we come back for part 3, I'll do the painting on this, and then if that doesn't take too long, then I can move on to step 12, which is working on the cockpit side panels and the fuselage. So that's it for now. As always, thanks for watching Plastic Knowledge by a Regular Dude.
loves and respects so much. Maybe Greer did too good of a job before they faced off against each other.
Well, they're doing what they do best. Atlanta second down and 10. Here, by quicker down the field they go, and they got a run throw who staggers ahead for the first down near the 44. Brought down by a couple. Means was their 19-yard catch and run by Hunter and for a first down.
And John Gruden had a lot of positive things to say about Raheem Morris as well. He said he loved the energy and the passion that he had for football, even as a young coach when he hired him on and brought him on there in Tampa. But he said, listen, I want him to get the head coaching job in Atlanta. I just don't want to win against us to be as part of his resume to help him get the head coaching job. But he does think he deserves another team.
Cross loose. You see the scramble. There's been no whistle. They cover up at the 35. Falcons are saying they got it, and they do. Let's see if that arm was going straight. But right now, Leroy Reynolds, with heavy pressure on Carr, may have just forced a turnover, which would be number 5. Was his arm moving forward? Nope, that's a fumble.
That arm was coming back. So that's a third fumble of the day, third lost fumble of the day for Derek Carr. Had a big 6, and then the fumble by Josh Jacobs.
This has been a disaster.
Well, that's really just Carr hitting his own.
Authority and his New Orleans defense continues to light it up. Juan Alexander. Well, they're having a great time right now. Cut back. Davenport in there. Juan Alexander getting a hit. I mean, pads are popping. They know what's coming. I mean, well, what are you going to do, right? You snap it to a back. You got a back in the back, another back in the backfield. Hey, one of those guys get the ball. Yep. We'll put everybody in the box. Broncos do not have a yard gain on fourth down yet. Until now. Finally, they can throw third down. It's bring on the carry to the 37-year-old. Well, DeMario Davis does not miss often. But here it is. Gets blocked right there. Spin move gets him. Oh. Freeman. Spin it. Put him in the turn cycle right there. Now Kendall Hinton back out onto the field. Mentioned he was in training camp throughout, then was let go on cutdown day. He was waived at that point. During the interim, he was working a sales job. Well, he got re-signed on November 4th. He was working with the practice squad. Signed into duty today to take the quarterback snaps. He had movement all over the place. Oh, yeah. On scrimmage. A lot of things to check here. Quarter timer. Play game. Play clock. Offense number 2. Slider and penalty. Timer, please hold 1 second on the game clock. 1 second. How about mercy rule this is going to fourth quarter? Forget the 1 second. Oh, yeah. It's a tough day at the office, man. That indeed is the end of the third quarter. The task was tall to begin with today for Big Fangio and the Broncos. The Saints have been dominant on defense and have done the work on offense. 24-3 to the fourth.
Create time to hang. Gingerbread builds tradition. A string of lights sparks family ties. A lasting gift makes a lasting impression. A tray carries your heritage. And ending means a new beginning. Got to have a real love. Push through the pain.
This season will be with 911. it is not disconnected from the criminal code. This would be a matter of Georgia criminal law, and it is clear that officials are prepared to prosecute people. And so I'm particularly worried about students who are being, encouraged to take these steps. They should not put themselves in this type of precarious position.
Well, I mean, this is the kind of thing that people are still talking about all across the country. They don't know who's backing these groups, who's supporting this, and if we know about 250 votes, are there thousands more that people don't know about? I mean, first of all, who's behind these groups? Who pays for them?
Well, a lot of them are in the sort of the galaxy of organizations that Stacey Abrams has handled, and a lot of them are funded by the usual suspects on the left. But I think Professor Curry made an excellent point. This is a felony, and if you don't think the Republicans are checking the 5,135 new people who registered to vote after the November 3rd election and before a week ago last Friday, you're kidding yourself. They're absolutely checking these registrations. People who came to the state of Georgia and are registering to vote there and have no intention of becoming permanent residents as required by state law are going to find themselves in a heap of trouble if they continue.
So, Geraldo, what about the president's approach to all of this? He went after Brian Kemp today, called him the hapless governor of Georgia. He doesn't understand why he doesn't use his emergency powers to stop the process in Georgia. This is Ryan McDaniel, who's obviously faced by some angry Republican voters in Georgia about this. Watch this. So what's the president going to do when he goes down to Georgia, and what kind of impact will it have?
What she just said is exactly the issue, Martha. If people lose faith in Georgia's electoral system and not show up, then they'll be gifting the Democrats control of the United States Senate. The stakes are so very high. They are astronomical. As a person who has been accused of giving the president too much of the benefit of the doubt, I can't imagine why the Republican senators are rallying around the Georgia Republicans, the Secretary of State and the governor there, and saying that the system in Georgia will work. You've got to vote. Everything is at stake here, rather than attacking the system not only in Georgia but nationwide. Undermines faith in the system, discourages people. I think that the president is on the wrong course here. I think he's got to take a real gut check between now and Saturday. With all due respect, and I love the guy, but enough is enough now. Are you, with your personal opinion about what has happened?
This completes a major assembly. In my next video, we're going to get it painted, decaled, and I'll show you the final reveal. I want to again thank you guys for tuning in, and if you enjoy my videos, check out a couple of these videos that are popping up on your screen. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.